Number 1. The game you didn't know you were playing. Listen carefully. You were never losing because you were weak. You were losing because you were unaware. Toxic people don't overpower you with strength. They exhaust you with strategy. They study your reactions. They feed on your emotions. They provoke, then step back, watching you implode while they stay clean. And while you were trying to be good, honest, kind, they were learning your patterns like a predator learns a trail. Understand this first truth. Life is not a moral classroom. It is a battlefield of incentives. Toxic people win because they treat it that way. They lie without guilt. They manipulate without apology. They retreat without shame. And you? You kept thinking fairness would protect you. It won't. Machiavelli warned centuries ago, those who play by virtue alone will be destroyed by those who know when to abandon it. This monologue is not here to make you cruel. It is here to make you untouchable. Because the most dangerous man is not loud, not emotional, not reactive. He is controlled, cold, observant. Toxic people thrive on your visibility, your explanations, your need to be understood. Every word you spill becomes ammunition. Every emotional reaction confirms their power. So here's the shift you must make right now. Stop trying to defeat them emotionally. Start outlasting them strategically. You don't confront fire with fire. You starve it of oxygen. You don't expose your cards to a cheat. You let him believe he's winning while you reposition. Toxic people are predictable. They escalate when ignored. They play victim when challenged. They retreat when consequences appear. Your task is not to change them. Your task is to see them clearly. Once you see the pattern, the fear dissolves. You stop reacting. You stop explaining. You stop defending your character to people committed to misunderstanding you. From this moment on, you move like a shadow. Silent when silence hurts them. Firm when firmness costs them. Calm when chaos is their weapon. This is not kindness. This is not cruelty. This is power with discipline. And if you stay with me, section by section, you will learn how to beat toxic people at their own game without becoming them. By mastering the psychology they never want you to understand. Number 2, emotional withdrawal. The first act of dominance. The moment you emotionally withdraw, the balance of power shifts. Toxic people do not fear confrontation. They fear detachment. Confrontation feeds them. It gives them relevance. It proves they can still move you. Detachment, however, terrifies them because it removes their leverage. Understand this clearly. Your emotions are the currency they trade in. Anger, guilt, anxiety, the need to explain. These are not weaknesses by nature, but in the wrong hands, they become tools used against you. So your first move is not aggression, it is silence with intent. You stop reacting instantly. You pause, you observe. You let them speak while you give nothing back but stillness. This forces them to reveal themselves. Toxic people cannot tolerate uncertainty. When they don't know what you're thinking, they project, they overplay, they expose motives they would normally hide. This is where Machiavellian discipline begins. Not manipulation, but control of self. You don't need to announce boundaries. You enforce them through behavior. You become slower to respond, shorter in words, neutral in tone. You do not justify. You do not clarify. You do not chase resolution. Why? Because resolution benefits the aggressor. Confusion exhausts them. The more emotionally unavailable you become, the more desperate they grow to regain influence. And desperation always leads to mistakes. This is where most people fail. They confuse emotional withdrawal with weakness. It is the opposite. It takes strength to let insults pass without correction. It takes discipline to remain calm when provoked. It takes power to know you could destroy someone verbally and choose not to. Toxic people rely on escalation. You deny them that ladder. They rely on drama. You respond with precision, cold, factual, minimal. Each interaction becomes a mirror they hate looking into. No reaction, no fuel, no emotional payoff. Over time, they will either escalate recklessly or disengage entirely. Both outcomes favor you. Remember this rule. Whoever needs the interaction more has already lost. So you stop needing it. You stop needing validation. You stop needing fairness. You stop needing closure. Emotional withdrawal is not retreat. It is repositioning. It is the quiet step backward that sets up the decisive move forward. And once you master this, you will notice something unsettling. Their power over you was never real. It only existed because you kept showing up emotionally unarmed. Number 3, control the frame, control the outcome. Every interaction has a frame. Most people never notice it. Toxic people live inside it. Whoever controls the frame decides what the conversation is about, who is defending, and who is judging. If you are explaining yourself, you are already losing. Explanation is submission in disguise. The moment you accept their accusations, assumptions, or emotional narratives as the starting point, you step into their territory. Your power move is simple but brutal. You refuse the frame. You don't argue facts when the real battle is authority. You don't defend intentions when the goal is dominance. You answer selectively. You redirect calmly. You decide what matters and what doesn't. When they accuse, you don't rush to deny. You pause, then respond with indifference or clarification so minimal it feels insulting. Not because you want to insult, but because you won't grant importance to nonsense. Toxic people weaponize urgency. They demand immediate reactions. They push for emotional resolution on their timeline. You slow everything down. Time pressure disappears when you stop caring about their comfort. This forces them to chase your pace, and whoever chases follows. You also stop speaking in absolutes. Absolutes give them handles to grab. You speak in terms of choices and consequences. Calm statements, clean lines, no moral sermons, no emotional leaks. That doesn't work for me. I'm not engaging in this. We can continue later. These sentences are boring, and that's why they're lethal. Drama dies when it has no audience. Control the frame by deciding when conversations begin and end. Toxic people hate endings they don't control. When you disengage without anger, without explanation, without apology, you send a silent message. You are no longer the center of my decision-making. That message hits harder than any insult. Frame control also means choosing where you speak. Public spaces neutralize manipulators. Private spaces empower them. You learn to move discussions into environments that favor clarity, not emotion. Light, visibility, witnesses. These drain toxicity fast. And when they attempt to provoke you into slipping, remember this. Composure is not passive. It is aggressive restraint. You are not trying to win the argument. You are redefining the game so arguments no longer exist. Once you control the frame, every interaction becomes shorter, cleaner, and colder. And cold environments do not support parasites. Number 4, use their patterns against them. Toxic people believe they are complex. They are not. They are repetitive. Their strength comes from consistency, and that is also their weakness. Once you detach emotionally and control the frame, you gain the luxury of observation. And observation turns chaos into a map. Watch closely and you'll see the cycle. Provoke, deny, blame, play victim, reset. Over and over, same moves, different words. Your advantage is patience. You stop responding to content and start responding to patterns. When you see the pattern, you no longer take anything personally. Personalization is the trap. Pattern recognition is the escape. Machiavellian power is not about cruelty, it's about timing. You let them run their routine while you collect data. You notice what triggers escalation. You notice when they retreat. You notice which lies they repeat when pressured. And most importantly, you notice what they desperately try to hide. Toxic people reveal their fears through their behavior. What they attack is what they lack. What they mock is what threatens them. What they control is what they're afraid of losing. You don't call this out. You store it. Information is leverage only when used sparingly. Once you understand their pattern, you subtly change yours. You break expectation. You respond late when they expect speed. You stay calm when they expect anger. You disengage when they expect pursuit. This destabilizes them. Predictable people control unpredictable ones. Unpredictable people collapse when faced with calm consistency. At the right moment, never early, never emotional, you introduce consequences. Clean, proportional, undeniable. You don't threaten, you act. Boundaries are not speeches, they are outcomes. And outcomes teach faster than words ever will. Toxic people rely on the belief that you won't follow through. The first time you do, the dynamic shatters. You don't escalate, you don't gloat, you simply remove access, attention, opportunity, influence. This is where their game ends. They may smear you, they may provoke harder, they may attempt reconciliation. None of it matters if you hold the line. Remember, the goal is not revenge. Revenge keeps you tied to them. The goal is a freedom through superiority of awareness. When you use their patterns against them, you don't defeat them loudly. You make them irrelevant. Number 5, silence as a weapon, not a refuge. Silence is misunderstood. Most people use silence to hide. You will use it to apply pressure. Toxic people depend on noise, arguments, messages, reactions, emotional chaos. Silence disrupts their rhythm. When you go quiet without explanation, their mind fills the gap with fear and speculation. They replay past interactions. They wonder what you know. They imagine consequences you never promised. This is psychological gravity. Silence forces them to confront themselves. But this only works if your silence is stable, not passive-aggressive, no dramatic exits, no vague posts, no indirect messages, clean disappearance from the emotional battlefield. You become unavailable, not resentful. You respond only when necessary, and when you do, it's precise and neutral. This contrast unsettles them. One-word replies, delayed responses, no emotional coloration. Toxic people escalate when ignored because escalation has worked before. Let them escalate. Each attempt reveals more insecurity. You are not punishing them, you are training them to understand that access to you is no longer guaranteed. Silence also protects your position. Every word you don't say cannot be twisted, misquoted, or weaponized. In Machiavellian terms, silence preserves optionality. You keep all future moves available while they exhaust theirs. This is especially powerful in group dynamics. The one who speaks least is often assumed to know the most. Let others fill the space. Let them over-explain. Over-explanation is confession without awareness. And when you do speak, your words carry weight because they are rare. Silence turns your presence into authority. But understand this, silence is not forever. It is used to reset the hierarchy. Once they understand you cannot be provoked on demand, you re-engage selectively on your terms. Short interactions, clear limits, zero emotional labor. If they cross the line again, silence returns, immediately, without warning. Consistency is what makes silence lethal. Not anger, not theatrics. Consistency. This is how you move from being drained to being respected. And if respect never comes, distance does. Both outcomes are victories. Silence is not avoidance. It is command without speech. Number 6, never expose your strategy or your pain. One of the biggest mistakes intelligent people make is believing that transparency will disarm toxicity. It won't. It arms it. Toxic people collect your vulnerabilities not to understand you, but to use you. Every insecurity you confess becomes a future lever. Every strategy you explain becomes something they can counter. So you adopt a rule that Machiavelli would respect deeply. Never reveal your inner workings to those who benefit from your confusion. You stop narrating your growth. You stop announcing your boundaries. You stop explaining why something hurt you. Pain shared with the wrong person becomes entertainment. Strategy revealed becomes sabotage. This does not mean you become closed to everyone. It means you become selective. You share depth with those who have proven loyalty through time and action, not words. With toxic people, you remain opaque. Calm surface, no emotional tells, no visible effort. When they probe, you give them nothing useful. Polite ambiguity, neutral statements. I've handled it. It's taken care of. I'm good. These phrases frustrate them because they block access. They want to see you struggle. They want to feel needed. They want proof of impact. You deny all three. You also stop seeking validation for your decisions. Validation is another door they walk through. When you explain yourself, you imply they have authority to judge you. They don't. Authority is taken through composure, not granted through permission. The more comfortable you become with being misunderstood, the more powerful you become. Toxic people rely on your fear of misinterpretation. Once that fear dies, their influence collapses. And here is the hardest truth. Sometimes they will try to bait you by feigning concern, offering advice, or reopening old wounds for closure. This is not care, it is reconnaissance. You recognize it and decline calmly. No defensiveness, no bitterness, just distance. Remember, secrecy is not deception, it is self-preservation. Wolves do not announce their direction. Kings do not explain their decisions. And you, if you want to become untouchable, must learn to let your silence and results speak where your emotions once did. Number 7, create consequences without announcement. Toxic people do not change because they understand you. They change because their behavior stops working. Words rarely create that shift. Consequences do. Quiet ones, immediate ones, consistent ones. The mistake most people make is threatening consequences instead of delivering them. Threats invite negotiation, announced boundaries invite testing. So you do neither. You let behavior trigger outcome automatically, like gravity. When they disrespect you, access decreases. When they manipulate, cooperation ends. When they overstep, opportunities vanish. No speeches, no warnings, no emotional charge, just cause and effect. This is where true power lives, when you don't need to explain why something changed. Toxic people are hypersensitive to status shifts. They notice when replies slow down, when invitations stop, when influence fades, and they feel it as loss of control. They may confront you, accuse you of being cold, ask what changed. You do not confess, you do not justify. You respond with calm neutrality or not at all. The lesson is not in the explanation, it is in the experience. Consequences train faster than confrontation ever will. And here's the critical detail. Consequences must be proportional. Overreaction exposes emotion. Underreaction invites escalation. You respond just enough to signal that the old dynamic is dead. This keeps you composed and credible. Machiavellian discipline is not about cruelty, it's about inevitability. When people learn that crossing you leads to predictable loss, they adjust or disappear. Both outcomes serve you. You also learn to detach outcomes from mood. You don't punish out of anger. You don't reward out of guilt. You act from principle. Calm, repeatable, boring. This is devastating to manipulative personalities because they rely on emotional inconsistency. They exploit guilt, hope, second chances. You remove all of it. One line crossed equals one response, every time. No exceptions, no drama. Over time, they will either respect the boundary or remove themselves. And here is the final shift. You stop needing them to understand why. Understanding is optional, compliance is not. This is how you win toxic games, not by winning loudly, but by making the rules impersonal and unbreakable. Number 8, master indifference, not hatred. Hatred is still attachment. Anger still means they occupy space in your mind. Toxic people don't need your love to control you. Your resentment works just as well. So the final psychological upgrade is this: indifference. Indifference is not weakness, it is emotional sovereignty. When you reach this state, their words land nowhere. Their tactics fall flat. Their presence feels small. You stop fantasizing about winning, exposing, or humiliating them. Those fantasies keep the chain intact. Instead, you redirect your focus toward your own momentum. Growth is the ultimate disengagement. Toxic people sense this shift immediately. They feel it when you stop tracking their moods, when you stop anticipating their reactions, when you stop caring how you appear in their story. This is where power becomes permanent, because indifference cannot be manipulated. You no longer seek justice from them. Justice is internal now. You measure your success by distance traveled, not battles won. This makes you unpredictable in the most dangerous way. You don't need the outcome. And when someone doesn't need the outcome, they cannot be controlled. Toxic people will try one last tactic at this stage: nostalgia. They'll remind you of history, favors, shared struggles. This is emotional debt collection. You acknowledge the past without reopening it, respect without access, gratitude without obligation. You don't erase what was, but you refuse to let it define what is. Indifference also sharpens your judgment. You see clearly who adds value and who drains it. You stop giving premium access to people who only offer chaos. Your circle shrinks, but your position strengthens. And here's the paradox. When you truly stop caring, toxic people often stop attacking. Not because they've changed, but because there's nothing left to extract. You've become emotionally unprofitable. This is the end game. Not domination, not revenge. Freedom. Freedom to move without reaction. Freedom to act without explanation. Freedom to grow without permission. And once you taste this level of detachment, you'll realize something quietly powerful. They never had power over you. You just hadn't claimed yours yet. Number 9, reputation, distance, and the final position. At this stage, the battle is no longer personal, it's positional. Toxic people survive by controlling narratives. They gossip, they distort, they preemptively frame you as the problem so they can continue without consequence. This is why Machiavellian wisdom treats reputation as armor. You don't defend it emotionally. You have built it strategically. Quiet consistency, predictable professionalism, calm behavior under pressure. Over time, patterns speak louder than accusations. People may listen to a rumor once. They don't believe it forever when your actions contradict it daily. You let time do the work that arguments never could. Distance is your greatest ally here. Physical distance if possible, emotional distance always. You limit exposure, reduce overlap, and redesign your environment so interaction becomes rare and optional. Toxic people weaken when they lose proximity. Without access, they lose influence. Without influence, they lose relevance. You don't isolate yourself. You are reposition. Toward stronger alliances, toward higher standards, toward environments where manipulation doesn't survive because competence and clarity dominate. This is the final position. You are no longer reacting to toxicity, you are above it. If they attempt one last smear or provocation, it barely registers. Your life has moved forward. Your focus has shifted. And here is the quiet truth most never reach. Distance doesn't just protect you from toxic people, it reveals who else was benefiting from your confusion. Some will fade. Let them. Power always clarifies relationships. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to be respected by yourself. Reputation is not what you say when attacked. It's what remains when you say nothing at all. By now, you don't need to win conversations. You've already won position. And position, not argument, decides outcomes. One section remains, the final seal, the mindset that makes all of this permanent. Number 10, become untouchable, the permanent shift. This is where it locks in, not as a tactic, as an identity. You stop thinking in terms of dealing with toxic people and start thinking in terms of who gets access to you at all. Access becomes earned, not assumed. Your time, energy, attention, these are no longer available to anyone who demands them, only to those who respect them. You move slower, you speak less, you observe more, you choose environments carefully. You understand that power is not loud, it is not reactive, it does not explain itself. It simply exists and lets others adjust. At this level, toxic people sense something different about you. They can't quite name it, but they feel it. You no longer signal fear, guilt, or the need to be understood. You are calm under pressure because you've already accepted the worst-case outcome and built a life where it doesn't destroy you. This is Machiavellian clarity without cruelty. You are not manipulating, you are self-governing. You don't chase respect. You structure your life so disrespect becomes impossible. You don't confront every threat. You outgrow most of them. And if someone insists on crossing your line, the response is swift, silent, and final. No closure conversations, No emotional debates, just removal. This is not coldness. This is discipline. The discipline to protect your future from people who only understand the past. Once you internalize this, something strange happens. Peace, not the soft kind, the dangerous kind. The kind that comes from knowing you cannot be easily shaken, pulled, or controlled. And that is the ultimate win. If this monologue sharpened your mind and strengthened your frame, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because power, once understood, must be maintained.